Welcome back to my channel, and today, as I promised, we will have a literary review of the analysis regarding the Taximan'S story by Catherine Lim. So to give an overview, the Taximan'S story was just a part of the book entitled The Little Ironist, which is a book written by Catherine Lim. So looking back on the two authors that gives a critic review on this story, we have Rodriguez, which is a principal on the grade school, and she viewed the story in a Marxist approach, wherein she emphasizes the power struggles of the class, particularly in the existence of the driver and the teacher. So the driver belongs to the working class, whereas the teacher belongs on the higher level of the society. So it is apparent on the way on how the driver talks. So in the story, you may notice the grammatical errors of the driver. For our second author, we have Tagonon, who viewed the story within a structuralist lens. So he stated that according to Roland Barthes, there are two parts in viewing a structuralist approach. So the first one is the dissection. So as you can see, the driver and the teacher are two different entities. So the driver in the story represents the lower class or the working class, whereas the teacher represents the Singapore country, with the manner of her as being timid all throughout the conversation. The second part is articulation, in which the one-way conversation shared between the driver and the teacher symbolizes or holds a deeper meaning of the taximan speaking the truth to his country, which is Singapore. Now let's move forward on the literary approach that I have used in this story. So first we have post-colonialism, and due to the influence of the British Empire, particularly on their colonization during the 19th century, it is undeniable that it brings influence on the way of living of Singaporeans. And upon researching, I have discovered that British Empire belongs to United Kingdom, which practices the idea of democracy and liberalism. So due to those ideas, the original values or the traditional values has been altered by the Western influences of too much idealization of liberalism. So the first context, particularly in the story, that shows the downside of too much democracy is the way on how teenagers delve into the idea of prostitution or premarital sex, which is kind of disappointing on the traditional way of how women behaved before. Okay, so for the second evidence that was presented within the context of the Taximan's story is the way on how the child policy was changed, brought by the democratic rights given to the parents to produce children based on their desired number. So this also has a domino effect on the growth of the population of the Singapore country. To give further disclaimer, we are not against on the idea of democracy and liberalism. To be honest, many countries have benefited from it and they have gained advancement through that. It is just that too much can be dangerous, and it's quite alarming, particularly on the part that the traditional values or culture have been altered with too much romanticization of it. So my second approach would be Marxism. So before starting with my approach with it, big shout out for Karl Marx for coining this one. So going back to the lens of Marxists, there are quite a lot of evidences that shows that Marxism approach fits it better. However, as stated by my professor, there is no meta theory or a greater theory that will cater to all interpretations of a literature. So let's start on analyzing the Marxist approach in the story. So the first evidence is the way on how the driver called the passenger Madame. So with that, we can see that there is a difference in their status, stating that the passenger belongs to the working class, whereas the Madame or the teacher falls on the higher level in the society. So the second evidence is the way on how the driver spent 20 years of his life driving just to earn money. So this shows that the driver falls on the working class of the society and needs to work harder just to sustain the needs of his family. The third evidence falls on the teenagers engaging in premarital sex or prostitution just to earn extra money, and probably they did it out of poverty. So what's ironic in this story is that even the father or the driver is mad on those kids. He also accepted the money given by young girls. So it's kind of contradicting between his principle and the need to sustain his family. The next evidence is shown on the way and how the teacher isn't aware on the social issues going around with those teenagers. This shows that if you are not in that situation, you cannot fully grasp the situation. So unless you experience it yourself. So here you can see that there is a difference between the experiences of the working class compared to those in the higher class. All in all, in a Marxist perspective, this literary selection serves as an eye-opener so that the reader can understand what is truly happening in the Singapore country. So kudos for Catherine Lim for using her words to express something that needs to be addressed as soon as possible. So that's all for my literary approach. And stay tuned because sooner I will develop a video featuring my website on my literary critic for this selection. So that's all and goodbye.